All right, another podcast episode today for Sunday, January 27th, 2019. If you have listened in on the last podcast episode, you know that I had a little bit of an incident last Sunday. What happened was that I recorded for an entire hour straight, and it was one of these moments where you're like really in the zone, you're really flowing, ideas just come and they integrate with each other. It was beautiful, and I was so excited to share that episode with you, only to realize that I fucked up how I set up the microphone. I fucked up the microphone jack. So when I started editing the video, I noticed that it had absolutely no sound for an entire hour. So I could see myself gesticulating and really being passionate on camera, but then no sound. So I recorded it again on Monday. I gotta say, it was not exactly as good as the one that I recorded on Sunday, but I covered at least the same topics. So I still hope that you guys enjoyed the episode that I posted last Monday, sorry. But today I made extra sure that the sound is working, that everything is set up in the proper way, so that doesn't happen to me again. Even though, I gotta say, I had an event a year ago with a really cool speaker that I invited to speak for my audience. And after she gave such a passionate and engaging speech, also for about an hour, it was a great experience for all of us involved. I noticed that I fucked up the microphone. So again, I couldn't post it, and she couldn't redo it, obviously. So that was a bit disencouraging, and back then I said to myself, okay, never gonna happen again. I'm always gonna double and triple check that everything is set up the way that it's supposed to be set up. And here I was fucking it up last Sunday. But at least today, everything is fine again. So it is about 1 p.m. now. I came back from the gym about an hour ago, had a nice good breakfast. I gotta say, going to the gym, quite a different experience these days, because as I mentioned before, I was training pretty hard before Christmas, and now I'm on this sort of diet. It's not really a diet. I mean, it's not like I have to lose weight. It's more that I didn't want to bulk up as much as I did before. I didn't want to eat 5 to 6 meals every day anymore, because it's not fun. I mean, that's what anyone who's like into bulking up a little bit and building muscle, everyone who is into that will tell you that the eating is actually the hardest part. It's not so much the training. And I gotta say, from my very, very amateur point of view, I can confirm that. It's not fun that you have dinner at 8 and then you have to eat again at like 9:30, and then you have like a protein shake at 11. It's not great. It's not fun. So the last couple of weeks I slimmed down a little bit. I ate more salad. I ate just less calories in general, less protein in general, a little bit more carbs maybe. And that's all fine and good, but what I noticed is that I am getting so weak already in the gym, which I gotta say is a little bit frustrating. Like, it's okay to lose a little bit of weight and maybe become more defined. God, that sounds so douchey when you say it like that. Just drop a little bit of fat, basically, weight, and still stay the same strength. That's kind of what I was aiming for. But it's so difficult, because you do need to have a lot of protein intake then to maintain the muscle mass, which I guess I haven't paid a lot of attention to lately. And I can really see what a big difference that makes when you stop eating properly and still want to stay strong. So for example, today I went and did some bench press. And like when I had this Christmas liftoff with my body about a month ago, pretty much exactly a month ago, I did bench press with 87.5 kilos, which is about 10 kilos more than my body weight. And I was pretty happy about that. That was a personal record for me, and that's all I could ever hope for, right? But then a month later now, after, falling a bit off the wagon in terms of eating, not so much with training. I'm still training regularly. I'm going to the gym like 3 times a week. I'm doing my routines, but just not eating as excessively anymore. I had a hard time benching 75 kilos today. And originally the plan was that I just do that for reps, I do a lot of bench press, and 75 kilos should be fine with like 5 by 5. But yeah, I could barely bench it like 2 times, 3 times. So I think I do need to reconsider a little bit my nutrition if I want to keep getting stronger. So I'm gonna keep working on that. Nutrition is such I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit overhyped these days. I mean, if you're not getting super fat, then it should be fine to eat pretty much whatever you want, I think. As long as you're not completely letting yourself go, if you're not getting too much out of shape. And I wouldn't say that I am. I mean, pretty okay, I think. And then again, I don't care that much about like weightlifting and that sort of thing. I just think it's good for me. It's healthy, but I'm not like one of these super excessively training gym rats. So I don't want to think about eating all the time, but at the same time, if I want to keep gaining some muscle mass and make some progress in the gym, I guess I have to. Also because I have such a fast metabolism that I can eat pretty much everything I want and as much as I want without gaining much weight. So if I want to gain some weight and if I want to get stronger, I do really have to focus on what I eat and how much I eat and when I eat, like all these things that I don't actually want to think about that much. Yeah, so long story short, getting a little bit weaker in the gym, but really getting into the cardiovascular exercises a bit more again. So today I did burpees. I wanted to do 50 burpees as quickly as possible. And usually that shouldn't be a problem to do it under 5 minutes. I feel like 10 burpees per minute should be possible to like do consistently over a longer period of time. But I don't know what it was today. Maybe it was before I went before I had breakfast, or maybe it was before. Jesus Christ, I can't talk anymore today. Maybe it was because I did it after I trained my chest and my arms already, so the bench press was already done. Whatever it was, I started doing the burpees, and like the first 10 to 15 always come easily, and then afterwards you just completely crash. And that's what happened to me today. So I could not even complete the 50. I guess I could have completed the 50 burpees if I had like taken 10 minutes for it. But with the pace that I set for myself and the goal that I set for myself, man, it was brutal. It was miserable. I felt like such a fat, lazy fuck to not be able to do that. Because I used to be in much better shape when it comes to like cardiovascular training and burpees and that kind of conditioning, and now it's just so rough. So I dropped out after a bit over 30, and I just gave up, which I never do. Like, even if I suck at something, I usually set a goal and I just go for it, and then I do it once and it's horribly bad, and then I do it again and it's a little bit better, and I do it again and it's a little bit better. But today I just quit. Like after like 33 or something, I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. Another 17 of this shit, not gonna happen. And then I dropped out and I caught my breath and I was like, like wheezing in the corner. And after 2 minutes, I felt a bit better and I just felt embarrassed for not finishing the 50. So then I did like 10 just to punish me, which I think is a good way to like enforce something that you don't originally want to do. Just find a way to punish yourself for being weak-minded about it. But still, I felt pretty bad afterwards. Then I went to the sauna and the sauna was not hot enough, so I was pissed about that. So it was not the best workout I had today. Let's just put it like that. And then I texted my buddy from London that I didn't even complete the 50 because he was like challenging me. He was like, hey man, I did 50 in like 3-minute 50 or something. Like, come on, just do the 50 challenge and see how good you are. Come try to beat me, bro. Come at me. He sent me that sort of message a couple of days ago. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna show you, man. And then I quit and I was honest enough to tell him that. And then, of course, he was making fun of me and he was like, you know, pushing my buttons a little bit, like, you fat fuck. Can't even do 50 burpees anymore, huh? So in a way, that's motivating, I guess. So immediately after this happened today, I set myself the goal that I'm just going to do 50 burpees at the end of every training that I do at the gym. So that's like 3 times a week. And usually it comes back quite fast. So I think if I do that for a month, I'm already going to be able to like do it maybe in 3.5 minutes. Definitely going to be able to finish the 50, not like today. So I'm counting on that. And I'm determined to make a change there. I'm determined to work on my endurance a little bit more because it is so important and you don't really feel it. You don't feel yourself like lacking that in everyday life if you're not completely overweight and out of shape, which I'm not. But at the same time, it is quite humbling to see how bad I am in terms of endurance right now. So I want to change that. I'm gonna make a commitment right here and now that I'm gonna train this every single time I go to the gym now. And maybe I can get back to you in the future how it's going. Other than that, I don't know. It's not that much going on this week. Just had my regular work week, which I guess is not that exciting for you to hear about because it has nothing to do directly with personal development. Even though I do feel like personal development can be so beneficial in really any area of your life, especially if you feel like you're a little bit underdeveloped in certain areas and certain aspects of your life and you want to shape up and get your shit together and actually make an effort to improve. I really feel like the concepts of personal development, personal growth, self-help, all of this, what I'm talking about here on this channel and what I'm advocating, it all can help you on this path. And the same goes for my situation, for example, starting a new job recently. There are so many incidents at work, or instances, sorry, wrong word, instances at work where I feel like, oh, okay, yeah, shit, I've dealt with this kind of problem before. I've had these kind of issues before, and I know how I can develop the mindset and how I can develop the engagement in myself to actually persevere and push through that and just tackle a problem head on. So it is not the case that like personal development doesn't play any role in the job that I do now, but it is a little bit less relevant for, it's a bit hard to generalize these problems that I might encounter there and that I could break down into like personal development related topics. It's more really that I noticed that, fuck, it's so draining to go to work. And again, it's not like I didn't work before. When I had my company, I was way more stressed. There was way more pressure on me. And I also honestly worked harder than I do now in this office job where I get paid. Um, but still, basically all you do is sit in meetings and in front of your laptop. So it's not like physically exhausting, but mentally it is quite exhausting. And I feel myself coming home at the end of a working day, not even late, like you leave the office around 5 and then you're home a bit before 6. You could still do a lot, but it is quite hard to put myself into this like mindset of, okay, I've just come home from a like 9-hour working day and now I'm gonna sit down and work on other shit that I have going on. It's not the easiest thing to do. So I'm still working with that. I'm still struggling with that. I think I need to set up some better routines than I have right now, because now I just pretty much go with the flow, which just doesn't work for me. I guess for some people it works. I guess some people can come home after a long day at work and they just feel so determined to get their shit done that they immediately start working on whatever it is they're into. For me, it's not like that naturally. I much rather just come home and like lie on the couch a little bit and maybe watch some YouTube videos. I might read a little bit, then have dinner and then go to the gym and go to bed, So I can't really say that I'm like naturally disciplined, which I guess is a shortcoming, but there's not much you can do about it from a standpoint of, okay, this is something that is inherently mine and I can just fix it. But for me, it's rather that I need to work on that actively. So I need to make sure that I have the right routines in place. I need to make sure that I'm not completely mentally drained when I come home. I need to make sure that I'm very present and aware of how I spend my time, especially my free time after I come home from work. And I don't just go into this like downward spiral of lying on the couch, being on my computer, just like, not having anything going on. That's not good either, right? So I need to snap actively out of that state and make sure that I do what I set myself to do. Yeah, so still figuring that out, but honestly, it's only been like a bit more than 5 working weeks that I have worked at this office job again. So I can't really say, that I understand where my kind of lack of enthusiasm and drive after work is coming from, because I'm still learning everything at the job. It's all still pretty new to me. I'm still getting to know the people, so you're always like a little bit under social pressure because you don't want to do something weird or act weird or whatever, say something weird. So there's that. So I do think it will get better in terms of like how much energy I have left at the end of the day after I come home from work to do my own stuff. It just needs some time to find a good routine there and actually settle into this new routine again. But other than that, things are pretty good. Reading this book, Martin Seligman, Flourish, I can already say that it's really interesting and it's very scientific in a sense, which I always appreciate, because it says like in the book cover that the guy is also like a self-help author. So I knew he's a professor in psychology, so I assumed that it's a bit has a little bit more foundation to it than a lot of the other self-help books. But it's still nice to see that He's talking a lot about his research. He's talking a lot about the experiments that he has conducted. He's talking about really decades of experience in positive psychology, is what it is called, and what he basically started or is the founding father of. So that's always cool to have such a direct source about a topic that you're really interested in, like me with well-being, happiness, positive psychology. I'm really getting deeper and deeper into this, and I find it so fascinating because it's so first of all, it's very relatable. Everybody has this basically as their ultimate goal in life, right? We all want to be happy, and pretty much whatever we do ultimately has the goal to increase our well-being and our happiness in life. So that's very cool. But then also to see that, you know, the dude is like 76 or 77 now. So just the fact that he's still alive and that we can learn from him firsthand is pretty cool. It's like, I don't know, learning about gravity from Newton, you know, like actually learning from the person who discovered something or came up with certain theories firsthand, I think is much more valuable than, you know, learning from his students later on or his students' students. I mean, it's gonna get passed on through the generations, and it's gonna evolve and change, of course, and there's gonna be changes to the original idea behind it, which I guess is good. You gotta iterate with ideas, and you gotta keep developing it further. But it is kind of cool when you're into these kind of things, like I am, that pretty much everyone who was groundbreaking in their own domain in terms of happiness, psychology, I mean positive psychology, but also personal development, all of these people are still alive. So you can learn from them. You can, if you have the money for it, even get a personal coaching for them. You can reach out to them. Like this Martin Seligman dude, he wrote his actual email address on the first page of the book. And he's like, hey, you can reach out to me and ask me anything about positive psychology and happiness and well-being, and I'm going to answer, probably very short as a one-liner, but I am going to answer. So, of course, naturally, I did. And I asked him, what would you sell to other people if you were trying to maximize their happiness through your products? So my idea was, are there actual products that make you happy? Because everybody says that, like in the commercials and the advertisement world, usually what you're trying to sell ultimately is happiness, right? So if you're buying a watch, they don't say, oh, this is the nicest watch and it looks so shiny and it can tell you the time really well every single day. But instead they kind of make you believe that this watch will bring you happiness. This watch will change who you are as a person. This watch will take your well-being from here to here. So this is how advertisement works, right? So I was wondering, are there actual products that can increase your happiness? Is there something you can sell that makes you or your customers happier? And he did answer in a very short sentence, and he pretty much said something that I guess I could have figured he would answer. He said that you should never rely on things to increase your happiness if you buy things, but rather you should buy experiences. And this I knew, and this was not really where I was trying to get at with my question towards him. But I guess it's still a good reminder, and I guess he does have a point. Maybe he even does indirectly answer my question, that there is, in fact, nothing that you can physically buy that will make you happier. So I think it's cool to have experiences that you share with people, and I think it's worth quite a lot to invest in really good and pleasant experiences that you might remember for the next year or 10 years even. So I try to do that more and more. I can notice that now that I have a stable income again with my stable 9 to 5 job, right? That's one of the perks of it. So I do notice that I get a little bit more materialistic, thinking about buying new headphones and thinking about buying some new clothes because honestly I need it. I was saving a lot of money on all these kind of things when I didn't have any money and I was just doing my startup thing. So I noticed that I immediately get drawn towards this mindset of like, oh, if I buy something here, then that will make me feel really good, right? But in general, what I do spend most of my money on is actually experiences. So going to concerts, traveling, having a nice dinner out, and not necessarily to a place where the food is extraordinarily good, but rather just taking a bunch of friends out, for having a burger, something like that. And then having some stupid discussions over your meal and just joking around with each other. I think that is really what generates a lot of happiness and what is something that we will keep in mind and that will continue to give happiness to us, much more than buying a new iPhone, for example. I mean, I got a new iPhone for work now. I have a work phone. And before that, I had a super shitty phone. So I felt like, wow, this is so cool to actually be able to take all the pictures and videos that I want without having to delete all of them right after because I don't have any memory anymore. Or to actually have a good screen that is not cracked in every way possible. But it faded away, like the happiness that I felt about having this new phone, it faded away so quickly. I guess it took me, I would say maximum 2 weeks until having this new phone was completely normal and I was back to feeling exactly the same as I felt before. So yeah, I think happiness really comes from the people around you and from the experiences that you often share with these kind of people and the memories that you get out of it. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep reading this book and keep you updated on what else he's sharing. But if you're interested, you can just Google Martin Seligman, Positive Psychology, Flourish. He had a couple of other books. What was it? Learned Helplessness. I think that was his first, maybe. But you can also just go to, Authentic Happiness. Authentic Happiness is another book that he wrote. You can go to Authentic Happiness, I believe it is, maybe not .com, some kind of university ending of just Google Authentic Happiness and you will find a website with a lot of really helpful material from him collected and from the Positive Psychology department at University of Pennsylvania where he's teaching. So definitely go check it out if you're interested in that sort of things. There's also a lot of questionnaires and exercises that you can do to learn a little bit more about yourself as well and how you can generate more happiness and well-being based on the kind of character that you have and the kind of person that you are. So go check that out. I really recommend it. I gotta say though, for somebody who's thinking so much about happiness right now and reading a book about happiness and doing personal development talks here on this channel and all that sort of stuff, I do feel a little bit down lately, if I'm completely honest here. And I don't know what it is exactly. Is it like the the work routine that I have, and that is just a bit monotonous, tough word. Maybe it's the winter, because winter is just getting started here in Scandinavia. So it's gonna be a couple of more months until summer comes along, and the darkness starts getting to you and all that sort of shit. I am not sure what it is, but recently I felt a little bit down, and I think it also has a little bit to do just with my current situation when it comes to, for example, this YouTube channel as one major part of my business and my original business idea of creating a personal development platform, which I guess it's safe to say by now has failed. Seeing that I'm working at a full-time job again, and that I don't really have the time anymore to invest a lot of time into building this platform and developing it and getting people interested in it and everything that would be needed for it to make it work. I don't really do that anymore. I don't have the time and the energy to keep at that. I'm happy enough that I keep maintaining this YouTube channel, but even here I feel like the growth is not what I want it to be, and honestly also the quality is not, just because I don't always find the time to put 10 to 20 hours into editing videos every week. It's a bit draining as a process. So I'm not really sure how I'm gonna continue to go about this, because something needs to change. If I keep putting that much effort into YouTube videos, and again, I love connecting with you guys. I appreciate every single one of you who listens to what I'm saying here and who appreciates the work that I'm putting into all of this. But I still feel like I need to see more of a growth potential than I do right now if I want to keep at it with the same energy and the same enthusiasm. There needs to be some sort of, silver lining that I'm going towards, and where I feel like, okay, wow, now I'm really actually gaining some momentum. Now I'm reaching more people. Now I'm getting more than just 30 views on a video that I put a lot of work in. I need to get to that level in order for making it sustainable, in order to make it sustainable. So I'm not really sure how exactly I'm gonna get there, because of course that's like the holy grail that everybody's going for, right? Everybody wants to gain more subscribers and get more watch time and get more exposure and more views. Like, everybody wants that. I just need to figure out for myself how I can get there with the topics that I care about, and with the resources that I have right now, and with the time constraint that is kind of put upon me. How can I maximize the outcome? And I guess I'm not gonna stop making these videos just because I like it too much and because I have come too far in order to give up now. And just because I like documenting as well how I feel about certain things and how I think about certain things at a certain age. I mean, now I'm 30. It would be really cool if I kept doing this until I'm like 40 or 50, and I can see how I change and how my mindset changes and how I develop in certain areas and how I just drop certain other areas because it doesn't work out or it doesn't, pay off. So I do want to keep doing this, but I need to find a way to make it more sustainable than it is right now, and a little bit less frustrating, honestly, than it is right now. So this has been going on in my mind for a while now, and I guess you might be seeing some changes to the channel in the future. And I'm just gonna try a lot of new things as well and see what sticks. Like somebody said, forgot who it was, but there's the saying, like in order to make something really good and to create something unique and special. You just need to throw a lot of shit against the wall and see what sticks. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be throwing a lot of shit at you. See what sticks. Yeah. One thing that I set for myself the limit that I don't quit YouTube until I have made 1,000 videos, which is quite insane if you think about it. I mean, 1,000 videos is a lot of material. It's a lot of effort that goes into it, and it's a lot of time that you have to spend recording and editing and uploading and iterating. Like, all these things take a lot of fucking time. But I set my mind to making 1,000 videos, and now I am very, very sorry. Now I'm very, very close to 200 videos, so that is like 1/5 of it. So you don't have to worry that I quit anytime soon. I want to get to 1,000, and I want to then make a decision to either continue with it or not continue, depending on how much traction I have gained at that point. But I think it's very important as well to not just do what you've always done, because then you're always going to get what you've always gotten. So saying that I think Tony Robbins said. You constantly need to change, and you need to reinvent yourself, and you need to iterate to make your material better and to serve your audience better. So I'm gonna keep evolving and keep trying to do my best here, simply because I don't want to make another 800 videos of the same that gets like less and less views, probably because I keep repeating myself. I don't want to do that, and I know that you don't want me to do that. So I'm gonna keep pushing myself and keep pushing the boundaries, even though it is a little bit hard right now, and even though I'm not at my most motivated, if I'm being honest. But I know that I have created quite a good foundation for making the next leap. I mean, I'm having like close to 2,000 subscribers now, and I know that this can be the roundabout number, you know, when you start to see a little bit of traction and where YouTube starts to promote your videos a little bit, and then you maybe reach a bit more people, and then you grow your audience further from there. So I do think that I'm getting closer and closer to the point where the thing becomes sort of self-sustaining, and where it's not as hard anymore as it is right now. So I'm gonna keep working towards that goal and towards that direction. Bear with me, and I guess you're gonna be part of the ride whether you like it or not, unless you subscribe, which I hope you don't. Unless you unsubscribe, I wanted to say. So don't unsubscribe. Things are gonna happen, and things are gonna come your way. But it is quite draining to keep thinking about all of these things all the time. I mean, honestly, this is why I'm sharing this with you guys, with my audience, in these podcasts, to give you this behind the curtains point of view of things not working out, and things being tough, and things not being easy. A little bit with the thought in mind that maybe 10 years from now I can look back and be like, oh wow, look, back then I was struggling so hard, and now it's so much easier, and look how much I've accomplished in those 10 years. But right now it is pretty tough, and I think it's important to share that with other people who might be in the same position, that it's not supposed to always be easy, and it might look easy for some people. Especially once you have gotten a little bit of traction, and once you are getting successful, then all these people come out of the woodworks, and they find all these reasons why it was easier for you than it is for them, and they make all these excuses why they could never accomplish what you accomplished, And what they don't see is the years and years and years that went into getting where you are now. And this is not only the case for like YouTube, obviously, this is the case for everything. Literally everything that you want to do will take a lot longer than you expect, and it will be a lot harder than you expect, and there's gonna be so many times when you just want to give up and you just want to quit and you feel like you can't take it anymore and you're not getting anywhere and you're not improving, you're even getting worse. People are making fun of you, they're ridiculing you for following your dreams, and they say that it will never happen for you and that you just don't have what it takes, so you should simply quit. And I honestly believe if you ask anyone who has made it, parentheses, made it, whatever that means, they will tell you that they have gone through exactly the same process. Like earlier today, completely different topic, sorry. But earlier today, the Australian Open final in tennis happened, and Djokovic, the number one right now in the world ranking of male tennis players, he won by a landslide. Like, it was not even close. He destroyed Rafael Nadal, who is the number 2 in the world. So that was like super impressive. And then I Googled him a little bit and I came across this video when he was like 6 years old. And he's 6 and he's like training, of course. He's on the tennis court and he's playing these kind of simple balls. He's maybe training with his dad, or maybe it's already his coach. But it kind of reminded me how long it takes to get to a point where you're as good as he was today in this Australian Open final. I mean, the video that I've watched was like 25 years ago. And that was not even when he started with tennis. Probably he started when he was like 3 years old or 4 years old. Like all of these prodigies start crazy young. And what you have to realize is that they start when they're like 3 years old, like football players or like musicians or whatever. And then you don't hear about them until they're in their early to mid-20s. So that's a good 20 years that they basically spent their entire free time every single day, most likely. The weekends, the holidays, no days off. Every single day, except like the time when they have to go to school, they are training and practicing and thinking about that one thing. And that's why they're great when they're in their mid-20s. And it's kind of what we know, but still we are aware that these people train like crazy and they've been doing that for a long time, but we keep forgetting. And it's so easy to forget because we only see them when they're great. We look at football players like Messi and we're like, oh my God, how could he be so great? How could he be that person? And it's insane that he's so talented, you know, all this shit. We don't see how he was desperate when he was 13. We don't see how he wanted to quit when he was 15. We don't see how he was homesick when he moved to Barcelona and he didn't know anyone there and he tried to make it for the first time like as a professional football player. All these things we don't see. We only see the finished product and we see like the greatest of all times, right? So I try to keep that in mind when I have an off day. And I try to keep that in mind when I do things that take a lot of patience, like building a YouTube channel, getting better at public speaking, doing these podcasts. All these things take time and it's not easy. And you have to just stick with it and you have to adopt a mindset that allows you to do this for like 20 years, you know, whatever it takes. So I'm in it for the long haul. And I think you have to be if you want to accomplish anything truly great. And furthermore, everything I do here on YouTube, these videos that I share, but also outside, I see as practice. Everything can be practice for your ultimate goal. So if I'm making these podcasts here and only 10 people watch it, and maybe at this point, I mean, I've talked for like 40 minutes now, maybe like 80% of all people have dropped out at this point, and only 2 or 3 people actually watch the entire hour or whatever the fuck, how long I'm gonna talk here. But that doesn't really matter because I still got the training, I still got the exercise, and I have gotten better at delivering my message and speaking and connecting with the audience and telling a story, becoming better at vocal tonality and gestures and eye contact, like all these things that are important for YouTube videos, but also public speaking in general. So things that I'm passionate about and that I want to get better at. I am training that regardless of how many people are watching. If you are Messi and you're like 8 years old and you're playing in the backyard of your small house or whatever where he grew up in Argentina, it doesn't matter if your coach is watching. It doesn't matter if your teammates are watching. It doesn't matter if your dad knows that you're outside training to become the best football player maybe of all times. It only matters that you're doing it for yourself, and other people will see the results in the future. So I try to have that mindset also about YouTube and about, I don't know, the views that I get. Because it's very easy to get hung up on these kind of things. But ultimately, it's not what matters. What matters is that I do what I'm supposed to do and what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And I do that consistently. And I do try to push myself in order to get better. And I will improve over time so that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when I'm like 45, suddenly I can reach a wider audience and people can go and be like, hey, how did that come about? Like, where did this guy come from out of nowhere? Suddenly he's everywhere and, you know, he's so on point and he's so sharp in his delivery of speeches. He's so good at expressing himself. People are going to notice that and they're going to be like, oh, wow, look at this talented dude. And they're not going to see the years and years and years of work that I have put into this. All right, so this was a pretty long rant. Sorry about that. I just felt like, I don't know, this was the mindset that I was in starting this podcast today. Like, fuck, I'm not getting anywhere. And still I'm going to persevere and still I'm going to push forward no matter what. And I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to record this podcast video because that's what I'm supposed to fucking do on a Sunday. Because I set the goal for myself and I'm going to do it no matter what. This was the mindset that I went into the podcast with today. I'm sorry if it got like all motivational on you and like, you know, giving you these big elaborate speeches here about motivation and dedication. But you know, sometimes you got to get that out of you, and out there into the world. So with that being said, I guess I'm gonna wrap it up here. Talked for like a bit more than half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, not sure exactly. But actually, you know, talking about dedication, I have to film some other videos as well after finishing this podcast. Then I have to edit this podcast, I have to upload it. All gonna take quite a lot of time. So gonna wrap it up here. I thank you guys as always for watching and for being part of this journey. I'm excited to share a pretty interesting video in the upcoming week. I'm hoping that I can publish a couple of weeks next week, that I find the time for it. But as I explained today in this podcast, it is a little bit tricky right now. So don't be mad at me if you don't hear that much from me. But there's going to be at least one more video other than the regular Sunday afternoon podcast that I'm going to be sharing next week with you. So look out for that. Until then, I talk to you next time.